first off, guys, if you have a drink in your hands, let's pour one out for all the Sixer fans. Y'all fan base can be crazy at times, but man, y'all been through some pain. The pain of that Raptor series last year, tough. And this year's team, looking as inconsistent as they has, very tough. Through most of this season, you can really argue that the 76ers were hands down the most disappointing team in the NBA. Besides the Bucks, a lot of people really had the 76ers down as the favorites in the East. But from the way it's looking right now, they are, believe it or not, the 6th seed. Now, injuries played a big factor in their underwhelming season, but even when they're fully healthy, they don't scream East contenders. So to see where they stand now, it's not an overreaction to call them a disappointment. For one, Ben Simmons and Embiid both have been battling through injuries. Simmons had a back injury, while Embiid had a sprained shoulder. And even with them healthy, they just don't look like the same team we thought would challenge the Bucks in the East. Now, with that being said, I still think that they're the dark horse favorites, along with Boston, to come out the East come playoff time. With them basically being given a mini offseason, it could give them a chance to regroup and turn into the team we all expected them to be at the beginning of the season. Simmons is fully healthy coming back from his injury and will play the 4, which should make the Sixers look more interesting. Shake Milton is coming along, and they still have good role players in Al Horford, Alec Burks, and Matisse Thybulle. But the thing that confuses me the most about the Sixers is the floor and ceiling. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if this team either made the finals or just lost in the first round. It's just that wide of a margin. They're just that unpredictable of a team, and that makes it so frustrating when trying to predict what they can do in the playoffs. And with them having a roller coaster season they've been having, a lot of people have been questioning, should the Sixers blow it up if they fail to reach expectations? And as much of a hot take as that initially sounds, it's really not that bad of a take. Now, should they do it? Me personally, if all fails this year, they should at least give it one more year. You never know, the Bucks might look different with the Giannis situation looming, and we don't know if KD's gonna come back looking like his full self. So if I'm the Sixers front office, I'll definitely try to get some better pieces around Embiid and Simmons next offseason and try again. But to be honest, this question really depends on how they fare in the playoffs. If they at least reach the conference finals, which is expected, then I can see a scenario where the front office would run it back. But given a scenario that they don't make the conference finals, it could persuade the front office to finally choose between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And given the situation that Elton Brand will have to choose between the two, but I would say that he's going to trade Embiid. Now, don't get it twisted, Joel Embiid has been the better of those two up to this year. But let's be honest, making a long-term investment in Joel Embiid wouldn't be the smartest thing to do, especially over Ben Simmons. For one, it's the obvious reason, his health. At this point with Embiid, playing at least 65 games is a healthy season for him. And to my next point, it will be a much easier job to build around Ben Simmons rather than Embiid. With the way the NBA is going, being versatile is key. And with this whole new positionless basketball era taking place, these old school centers are starting to be pushed out the league. If you're a center that struggles guarding the perimeter and struggles to get up and down the floor, you're going to be extinct sooner or later. It's the reason why the Draymonds of the world are so valuable, Serge Ibaka, Jonathan Isaac, Ben Simmons. But the thing that's really unique with Embiid is the fact that he's really not that bad on defense. Sure, he might not have the amazing ability to switch and guard on the perimeter like a small ball 5 would, but he's still pretty good on defense. But still, with his injuries and fitness always being into question, it might be a no-brainer to get rid of him first if they do decide to blow it up. But on the other side of things, Ben Simmons is a key piece to this too. Ultimately, to reach his full potential, he needs to have some form of a jumper. Just having at least a serviceable jump shot will do him and the team wonders come playoff time. Look at Giannis. A few years ago, he had the same issues. Now at this point, you can really call him at least a respectable shooter. You know, we don't expect Simmons to be Curry or anything, but when it comes down to it, he's holding his team back as long as he can't shoot. And yes, I've seen all the clips of Ben Simmons shooting on YouTube and in practice, but we want to see it in live action. Matter of fact, I hope they televise the scrimmages. If then he showcases his jumper and looks good, only then I'm gonna believe all the hype I've been seeing on social media. I'm sorry guys, but I'm not getting fooled by these little workout practice videos anymore. Trust me, I've seen Dwight Howard look like Steve Novak in these little shooting workout videos. So enough of that. But back to Ben Simmons, it's only his 3rd year. Imagine if he had just at least a decent jumper. There's an argument that he will already have a ring, especially in that Raptors series last season. Who knows? But at this point, it's mandatory for him to get that Jimmy. He could still be very good, but even without it, it's gonna hurt his team with the way it's constructed at the moment. In just about every area, Ben Simmons is good to elite in every category besides shooting. Defense-wise, he's the most versatile defender in the league. Playmaking, he already came to the league with elite passing abilities. Check. Finishing, he's one of the best in the league at it already. He checks everything but shooting, something that this team desperately needs. No offense, but with that 5-year, $170 million contract extension, we need to see at least some improvement in that jump shot department. Like at this point, you gotta at least make the defense feel like you're a threat. But when it comes to these two, I just get the impression that at some point they probably will have to split up due to their play styles basically clashing. And the main reason why I'm even saying this is mostly due to me seeing what Ben Simmons did with Joel Embiid not playing. Without Embiid clogging the paint, Simmons looked really really good. With an open paint, it's almost like what Westbrook is doing with the Rockets, 4 shooters with Simmons running the show. Even without Embiid, the roster isn't tailor-made to Ben Simmons, but he still looked like a different player in those 9 games. And with me saying that, it basically just proved to me that Simmons will be great in a modern offense built around him. But when he plays with Embiid, he's going to have to find a resolution to make sure teams don't sag off him so heavily come playoff time. But man, it seems like we're putting a lot of pressure on Embiid and Simmons when they only been playing with each other for about 3 years. But with the way the East has been these last 3 years, they had a pretty good chance to make a deep postseason run. To be honest, the East really just been that wide open, which is really why there's a lot of pressure on this talented team. But with all that talent too, a lot of the pressure does go to Elton Brand and Brett Brown. Starting with Brett Brown, some people say that he's been coaching for his job this year, and with his team being currently the 6th seed right now, it just adds more pressure for him this season. At this point, it all depends on how far this team goes in the postseason. Hell, maybe there's a scenario where the Sixers give Embiid and Simmons another year with a new coach and just fire Brett Brown. I wouldn't count that out as a realistic possibility. And as for Elton Brand, he might look at Brett Brown as the scapegoat and fire him if they fail to meet their goal, but he should be looking at himself for the team he's constructed around his best 2 players. First, we got Al Horford, who really hasn't worked out this season and will probably be going to the bench now Ben Simmons is moving to the 4. He's been a good backup center, but considering the amount of money they gave him, he is underperforming, especially on the court with Embiid. Then also signing Tobias Harris, who is a good player, but he might not be worth that 5-year, $180 million contract they gave to him. And this is my main point with the Sixers. I think it's really the pieces around him that's the real problem. So far, Elton Brand has made 2 questionable long-term signings that might cost him in the end. Horford and Harris aren't scrubs or anything, let's not get it twisted. But considering what they need to build around Simmons and Embiid, these signings might have been counterproductive to their overall goal of building around him. And you can say what you want about Brett Brown, but really, he's doing his best to coach this weird roster into a championship contender. But as of right now, all we could do is wait and see how the Sixers situation is going to work out. And I hope Elton Brand is right saying that the Sixers are built for the postseason. Spacing is key in the NBA, and with the Sixers' best players not really being given that, it's definitely going to come back to bite them in the playoffs. Like I said before, I think that this team could work, but going into the future, he needs to suit this roster around Embiid and Simmons. Spacing is key in the NBA, and with the Sixers' best players not really being given that, it's going to come back to bite them in the playoffs. If they do decide to keep both of these guys in the future, Elton needs to do a better job of giving them actual spacing. But for the meantime, they do need to find a solution that will really get the best out of the team at the moment. This team's not terrible, they have plenty of talent, but the spacing issue is something that needs to be solved. But with Philly's overall situation, it is a weird one, and to be honest, we really won't get answers about their overall future until we see them in the playoffs. For all my Sixer fans out there, let me know down in the comment section how you feel about this overall situation. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to things to help the channel grow. But Hulu is calling my name, so until next time, it's your boy 22 Khalil, and as they always say in Japan, Jamatane. Peace.